If you hood educated, I'm glad you made it. Allow me to unfold my knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from a hood brother's point of view to all of you, here, there, and everywhere. Now check me out. Lil Durk attorney Brian Steele is tearing a patch out of OT Jam's ass. I gotta be 100, right? Now, let's understand his goal, right, before we get into the testimony. Brian Steele's whole primary goal right now is to discredit OTF Jam. He wants to prove to the jury that, hey, look, you can't trust this guy. He is a liar. So he needs to prove inconsistencies in his testimony. He needs to prove that he is not to be trusted. He is to dismantle OTF Jam's credibility. That is the only way that I see that Durk may get some relief from the damaging testimony that OTF Jam already testified to. So Brian Steele is doing this thing, and I believe that the stuff that he's, showing the inconsistencies in, that the jury is probably looking at OTF Jam kind of like, wait a minute, hold on, like, is he to be trusted? Now let's get into this demonstration. Now, OTF Jam is the prosecuting attorney's key witness. So we got to understand something. If Brian Steele can discredit him, that right there will poke a major hole in the prosecution's case. So again, Brian Steele got to be aggressive. And he is aggressive. And here's why I say that, right? The biggest blow, right, to me, that, Brian Steele has put in the prosecution case, I'm talking about that just messed up OTF Jam testimony, is this right here. He played a actual video audio of OTF Jam interviewing with the FBI. Now, in this interview, you can hear OTF Jam telling the FBI, Lil Durk ain't never put up no money for the killing of Quando Rondo or Lil Tim. Now that's major. That's a body blow right there. Because the whole thing is murder for hire. Remember, OTF Jam testified earlier that, Lil Durk was talking about putting up $500,000 or $1 million for the hit for Quando Rondo or Lil Tim. But now we have him on video, audio, explaining to the feds that, hey, no, Lil Durk ain't never did that. That is major. Major. The reason why that is so major is this right here. Because the jury is sitting back listening to the whole trial and they saying, well, wait a minute. Hey, hold on. You did say that, that it was a hit for $1 million or $500,000. Now we got you on audio video saying that, nah, Lil Durk ain't never did that. Lil Durk ain't never put out no money for the killing of Quando Rondo or Lil Tim. That's discrediting his credibility. He doesn't look like this innocent guy or, somebody that can be trusted to the jury now. So to me, that right there was one of the most major blows in the prosecution case. And that's why I say Brian Steele, hey, he's being real aggressive. But there's more. Brian Steele went on the attack, right? He started to attack OTF Jam's character, right? And that right there to me it should have been easy because he done put his character out there already. He done said, hey, look, I done committed 100 robberies. I done killed people and stuff like that. But he said that while the prosecution was questioning him. But now this is the cross-examination. So now what Brian Steele was doing is trying to show the jury that, hey, look, how can y'all trust this guy? He is a dangerous criminal. So he got to asking him, like, how did you feel when you was putting guns to people's heads and guns to people's stomach and robbing people's and stuff like that? Jam tried to brush it off and just said, you know what, nah, I'm chilling. He didn't really want to get into that. But then Brian Steele, he pressed on, questioning Jam about when he was, when he was 9 years old, when he got blessed into the Black Disciples. And then said that you are considered to be a minister. Are all ministers of the Black Disciples violent? Now, that right there kind of backfired. And here's why I say that. Because when he questioned him about being a minister for the black disciples, Jam fired back by saying, Didi is a minister of the black disciples too. You see what I'm saying? So, he was trying to get him and he put that out there, but then, Jam fired back like, nah, okay, yeah, you can say I'm dangerous, but he a minister too, and he's just as dangerous as me. You see what I'm saying? Now, another thing that Brian Steele was, hitting him with is that, that note that he had passed to the FBI. Brian Steele said, hey, look, man, the only reason why you told about this murder of Lil Pop is because you want to use that as a bargaining chip so that you can get a lesser time, right? And then Jam fired back at him, though. Jam said, man, I pled guilty. I don't even have a promise. I just want a number. He said, nah, you testifying right now today is because you want to get a lesser sentence. Is that correct? And Jam fired back and he said, nah, I'm just telling my side of the story. I'm not banking on Lil Durk to get life. I'm just telling my side of the story. Lil Durk's attorney, Brian Steele, also revealed to the court today that OTF Jam and OTF Vonnie was communicating, even though the judge told them not to talk to each other. They got evidence that OTF Vonnie and OTF Jam girlfriends was communicating with each other via email and third-party call. Now, y'all might ask yourself, well, Hood, what does that got to do with anything? Well, being that OTF Vonnie and OTF Jam is the key witnesses in the case against Lil Durk and his co-defendants, these guys right here could have been cooking something up, to lie, right? These guys right here could be cooking something up to say, hey, look, check this out. We gonna put everything on Durk so that we can save our own ass. Y'all see what I'm saying? So that's why that's very important. So then Lil Durk's attorney, he starts to question OTF Jam about his relationship with OTF Vonnie. And then Jam say, nah, he's a goofy. I don't respect him. I don't have no love for him. He's trying to discredit OTF Vonnie. And that seems strange because it's like, wait a minute. Y'all were just communicating through y'all girls. Now you on the stand trying to say that you don't respect him, you don't got no love for him, you calling him goofy and all this old type of stuff. Are you trying to disassociate yourself from Vonnie, the same person that you was communicating with through your girlfriends? Y'all see what I'm saying? So to me, it appears that Lil Durk's attorney is trying to show that, hey, not Lil Vonnie, but OTF Vonnie and OTF Jam are in cahoots, that they are conspiring to put this whole case on Lil Durk when it was them who had the motive to kill Lil Pop. And y'all might say, well, what's the motive to kill Lil Pop and Quando Rondo? Again, OTF Vonnie supposed to be the cousin of King Von. If anybody wanted some get back for the murder of King Von, it would be his blood relative. Y'all see what I'm saying? Then Lil Durk attorney, he went hard on Jam, right? he basically called Jam a rat. He basically made Jam admit that he was a snitch and that he was a rat. Because Lil Durk attorney asked him, like, what is a rat? And OTF Jam said, somebody that cooperate. I know people that done ratted, that got shot. I know people who was victims and done, and done ratted and stuff like that. So Lil Durk's attorney said, so you a rat, you a snitch. And Jam said, well, I guess so. Now, here's where I disagree with that. I don't know what Brian Steele is going with that, but here's why I disagree with that. In order for a person to be a rat or a snitch, they have to be telling about information that they know about. You see what I'm saying? You can't be a rat or a snitch if you telling about something that you don't have no knowledge of. You see what I'm saying? The only way that you can be a rat or a snitch is that you have to have knowledge of a crime, a knowledge that somebody don't want you to tell nobody, and you come out and you tell law enforcement. So I don't know his angle on that, but I believe that right there won't be right if the prosecution pick up on it, because they can just lay it down like that. Yeah, he's a snitch. He's not shying away from being a snitch. He's a snitch because he knows what happened. He's a rat because he knows what happened in the inner workings of the crime against Quando Rondo, Lil Pop, and all of OTF that you're sitting here in this courtroom. These guys was putting together the murder for hire to kill somebody. And he knows about it, and that's what makes him a snitch and a rat. So I don't know where he going with that, but at the same time, I guess we'll see, later on as they keep on, cross-examining OTF Jam. Then OTF Jam, so then Lil Durk attorney, he questioned Jam about the meetings, right? The meetings that he had with the FBI. And so he asked OTF Jam, hey, were those meetings recorded? And Jam responded, hey, they were just meeting with me just to see how I was doing. And the attorney, Lil Durk attorney said, so you mean to tell me the FBI was meeting with you just to see how you was doing? So then Lil Durk attorney doubled back on him communicating with Cuz or Vonnie, right? So still asked him a simple question. Are you in communication with Vonnie? OTF Jam said, well, I seen him in passing, in the same facility that we're at. I seen him in passing, and I told him I'm not mad at him, right? And I guess he knew that, he was cooperating. But then he doubled back and say that he didn't know that Vonnie was cooperating, right? And so I believe that what Brian Steele is doing right now, he's discrediting his character again. Can this guy be trusted? Is this guy a liar? So then he said, then Brian Steele asked OTF Jam, is that the only time that you talked to Vonnie? And then OTF Jam got the mumbling. He said, what? He said, I'm talking to myself. OTF Jam told Brian Steele, I'm talking to myself, trying to remember. And then, attorney, Steele was like, all right, well, you go on here and talk to yourself. And when you remember, you respond to the question. So OTF Jam response was, yeah, I talked to him in passing. And I told him, I wasn't mad at him. And then Brian Steele hit him with this. Who is Ashley? Right? And, they say in the court, you know what I'm saying? OTF Jam kind of looked at him like, damn, I ain't know about Ashley. You know what I'm saying? And so he just admitted, though. He said, a cool female, that I know. And he said, who, Ashley Jones? And he was like, yeah, So Lil Durk attorney, Brian Steele, said, so you did communicate with him. What was you communicating with him about? And OTF Jam said, well, I had got word that somebody had recorded Vonnie on the phone, so I was basically trying to tell him to be careful. And Brian Steele said, oh, so you was looking out for him? And he said, yeah. But then here's the kicker right here. He said, but you broke a rule. And what he mean by that, when Brian Steele mean by that, is that he broke a rule, is that the judge ordered all of them to not have no contact with each other. Now, there's only one reason that Brian Steele can be putting this out there for the jury to see, that this guy right here is still breaking the rules. Even though he's cooperating and he's helping the prosecution, he's still a liar and a manipulator that's not to be trusted. Lil Durk's attorney, Brian Steele, started questioning OTF Jam about the 3 bodies that he admitted to, right? And then he told him, he said, when you were 17 years old, you walked inside of a store, locked the door because you wanted to rob this man. And what happened? He asked him what happened. And OTF Jam was like, yeah, we robbed him. And he said, when that clerk, Brian Steele said, when that clerk did not meet your demands and he didn't do what you wanted him to do, what did you do? And OTF Jam said, I killed him. And Brian Steele said, no, you blew his brains out. I said, oh, that was tough. Because what that does is it shows the jury what type of person that they are dealing with. You killed a man that had a family, a man that was a hard-working man that ain't did nothing to you, and you killed him all because he didn't meet your demands. Now that's tough because, the jury get to look at that and say, well, damn, he right. He did just blow this man's brains out, all because this man ain't do what he wanted him to do. right? And so then, Brian Steele, he got a little graphic with it, and he was like, well, when you blew his brains out, was it blood all over the gun? Was it blood all over you? Was his brains all over you? And OTF Jam said, nah. He said, what, did you want me to give him CPR or something? And so, man, that right there don't look good, because it just shows the cold heart of this criminal, right? Brian Steele, he questioned OTF Jam about the murder of Lil D. And OTF Jam said, I didn't murder Lil D. He basically said that I admitted to the kidnapping. It wasn't supposed to be a murder. It was supposed to be a kidnapping, not a murder. But it turned into a murder, and he admitted to that. OTF Jam, he admitted to that. And then Durk's attorney told OTF Jam, you came out here and you killed Lil Pop because murder is in your heart. You do not care about people. And OTF Jam said, yes, I do. I do care about people. He said, no, you don't, because you kill people, and that's what you do. Now, I'm not going to lie, y'all. I believe that Brian Steele, he did what he was paid to do. Poke holes in OTF Jam's testimony, his story, his history, his violent criminal history and stuff like that. But I believe that, when you're dealing with a trial like this, and you're dealing with a criminal organization, and you're dealing with a violent gang and stuff like that, that type of stuff can backfire. And this is what I'm talking about. Brian Steele questioned OTF Jam about the murder of Lil D, right? And according to reports, Lil Durk was involved in that. You see, now Lil Durk has not been charged for that. Lil Durk is not, under federal jurisdiction for that case, anything like that, or nor state jurisdiction. But he brought it up, right? And when he brought that up, you're almost, putting Durk in a position to be charged for that kidnapping and murder, because according to the reports, they are saying that OTF Jam confronted Lil Durk and told Lil Durk, hey man, check this out, man. They killed Lil D. And Durk was like, I didn't want him killed. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted him kidnapped. I wanted y'all to check him. I didn't want y'all to kill him. And somebody else during the kidnapping, which OTF Jam has admitted to, during the kidnapping, somebody else that was with them killed Lil D. So they had to say, hey, the judge had to call up Lil Durk's lawyer and tell him, hey, look, check this out. If you keep questioning OTF Jam about this, then we're going to allow the prosecution to bring all that stuff out about what happened. And then only that, you're going to be incriminating your client. You see? And so Brian Steele had to back off from that right there. But then the other thing that could possibly backfire is this right here. Yeah, he talked about OTF Jam's violent history and what he has done, and that he blew his brains out, and that he's a cold-blooded killer. Now, that right there could, associate Durk with all that, because Durk is OTF and he's a black disciple. Jam is OTF and he's a black disciple. So that kind of just proves the prosecution's point. Hey, look, these guys are violent. Yeah, Jam is violent. And if Jam is violent, Lil Durk is violent, Diddy is violent, Flocka is violent. All these guys are violent. So that right there can backfire like that. Because we got to think about it like this here. If the jury is looking at OTF Jam like, damn, he's a monster. He's violent. He's crazy. He really don't care about life. He has 3 murders that he had admitted to, including the murder of Lil Pop. You see what I'm saying? Then they could only look at the rest of the OTF members, Lil Durk and Didi and all them, and say, man, this is a violent group of people. Y'all see what I'm saying? And that right there can make them make that decision where it's like, okay, yeah, OTF Jam is a dirt bag. But he's telling on other dirt bags. And we want all these dirt bags off the street. So that's how that type of stuff can backfire. And by Lil Durk's attorney, Brian Steele, being so aggressive, calling a man cowards and stuff like that. Not only that, calling him a snitch and all that, a rat, in front of the jury. That could have a reverse effect. And the reason why is because Jam has already admitted that, look, snitching it automatically grants him a death sentence in this violent gang, right? Snitching, hey, look, they gonna kill me, right? And you know, he's remaining calm about the whole situation. So it kind of tells the jury that, hey, look, check this out. This guy right here, you know, he's a snitch. He's putting his life on the line, you know, to save other people's from being killed by this violent gang. He's willing to come forward and he's willing to snitch on these guys. Y'all see what I'm saying? So let's just think about it. Like, what type of person put their life on the line for lying, right? What type of person say, hey man, you know what, I'm finna get on the stand and say that these guys did all this stuff and this what they about, you know what I mean? And be lying about that, knowing that they can be killed for doing something like that. So that right there could possibly, right, grant OTF Jam some credibility with the jury, because they looking at, man, this guy, he put it all on the line. Why would he put it all on the line and be lying? He put it all on the line because he's telling the truth. Even though he probably won the deal, you know, and stuff like that, you know, a jury can say we excuse that. The bigger problem is these guys. If we let these guys go free, they're going to continue to kill, steal, rob, and do everything that harms in the community. Y'all see what I'm saying? Now, last but not least, I need y'all, look, hit that like button. We on the road to 200K. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Hype the video so we can get this video out there. But last but not least, one of Brian Steele's most powerful tools against this whole demonstration was the 2023 tape or audio tape where OTF Jam said, hey man, you know, Lil Durk ain't never put out no bounties and stuff like that on Quando Rondo or OTF Jam. The prosecution can come out and say, look, OTF Jam has sat on the stand and told you guys that he loves Durk, that he's not mad at him, but you know, he just don't respect him because of the position that Durk put him in. The fact that he went and killed Lil Pop on behalf of Lil Durk, it tells you the dedication that he has to Lil Durk. It tells you the dedication that he has to the gang. But not only that though, remember, if you snitch in this gang, you can be killed. The reason why he probably said that, you know, Quando Rondo or Durk didn't put no money on Quando Rondo or Lil Tim's head is because he was in fear for his life. He could have been killed if he told them that. And at the time, that wasn't the time that he was corroborating. But later on down the line, that's when he came out and told the truth about everything. Now look, y'all see how this stuff goes? Y'all see how these people can play, you know, with your life and take your words and twist it and flip it and do however they want to do with it when you in that courtroom, while you in there sitting up there with 12 strangers that you don't even know that got your life in their hands. This is the type of stuff that happened during the trial. You know, and look, this is just the beginning. There's still over 30 or 20 some witnesses left to come and testify against Lil Durk. This right here is just the beginning. So look, all I want to say is this right here, especially for you brothers and you sisters who are part of that life. You know what you should be doing right now? You should be looking at every single last one of your homies that you participated in criminal activities with. You should be looking at them like this here. Because you don't know. You don't know. The same way Lil Durk didn't know. DD, Brown Eyes, they didn't know. They didn't know that Vonnie was going to flip on them. They didn't know that OTF Jam was going to flip on them. They didn't know that Flocka was going to flip on them. They didn't know. And you don't know right now. You don't. You can say to yourself, you can fool yourself and say, hey man, you know, these my guys, man, I love them, man. I took care of them, man. You know what I'm saying? I give them all the money they want, give them all the drugs that they want. These guys will never do this to me. I bet you Durk thought the same thing. And now look what's going on. He got somebody that he trusted. You see? Somebody that he trusted on the stand trying to give him life in the penitentiary. And it's nothing to him. Nothing. Because all the material things that Durk provided, it does not compare to time. That's one thing y'all gotta understand. You can give somebody cars, money, clothes, hoes, drugs, liquor, whatever. None of that compares to time, and here's why. Time is precious. Once a day is gone, it is gone. It's over with. There's no going back. That day is gone. That money is gone. That year is gone. That decade is gone. You can't get that back. Money, cars, clothes, hoes, drugs, and all that. You can get all that back. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference. So when these boys is faced with that time, nah, hell no. Hey man, thank you for, taking care of me when I was locked up. Thank you for getting me all the money and the clothes, the hoes, the drugs, and all that old type of stuff. Thank you for providing me with guns. And thank you. But I'm not willing to do no time for you. And that's why I say, look, if you in that lifestyle, yeah, him over here, him over there, and all them over there, yeah, you need to be like, wait a minute, hold on, man. Wait a minute. Is it possible that y'all can do me the same way that Lil Durk is being done right now? Yes, it is. This is Hood Educated, not Lame Related. Peace and love, and y'all take care of yourself out there. If I said anything that caused you to think, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And if you're feeling generous, please make a small donation to the channel. Peace and love.